Hello, Sunday night, 8 o'clock, Diana the Happy Lawyer time. Sunday night, 8 o'clock, Diana the Happy Lawyer time. And now here's Diana. Next week I'm going to have a drum roll. Hi, happy Sunday night, Diana the Happy Lawyer, Veterans Day edition. So it's Veterans Day tomorrow. I think it's probably one of the most important holidays of the year. I noticed that a lot of people don't celebrate the holidays like they used to. They don't take off for Columbus Day or whatever other Memorial Day. A lot of lawyers still work on those off days, and even Labor Day. But Veterans Day, I think, is one that everybody should take off and really honor the people that are, doing work and jobs that a lot of us don't want to even think about doing, getting out in front of bullets. Nobody wants to do that. But apparently some people do, and they sacrifice a lot for it. So thank you to all the veterans. I saw my favorite veteran yesterday, John Presnick, and he's doing great. So I'm happy to say that. Last week's episode was from New Orleans. I hope you were able to all hear it. Hi, Ernie, over the bubbling fountain in the Royal Sonesta Hotel. Yes, I had a great time in New Orleans, and the lesson last week was it's the space between the bars that make the music. And in fact, the trip to New Orleans, my 5 days there, was a little bit of space in between my bars that make the music of my life. My bars are like brrr, boom, 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 constant, and the space that I take my downtime is always good to enjoy. So remember, the space that might be, it could be negative or positive space, it doesn't matter. It's still necessary to create the music, like the Beethoven symphony, bum, 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 bum. Bum, 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 bum. Without those dramatic pauses, it wouldn't be such a great song. So tonight I'm going to be talking about foundations, and that the foundation can be the most important part of success. It is the most important part of success. Foundations are vital to anything. And when we're talking about foundations, a lot of people think of the foundation of a building. Foundation of a building is the first thing that comes to my mind, the physical foundation of a building. And those are certainly super important. I've seen a lot of buildings go up here in the west end of Long Beach after Hurricane Sandy, and some of them had problems with their foundations. And even though the foundation seemed okay as it was going up, and then the second story went up and the third story went up, at some point it could be years later, 3 years, 4 years, 5 years later down the line, they found out there was a crack in the foundation. And even though the house was beautiful and looked great from the outside, on the inside, because of the crack in the foundation, things were shifting, and it was just not a good thing for everybody to be living under that that house with the cracked foundation. Boy, and I think I have a little sorry, there's some schmutz. There you go. A little better. I don't know. Some schmutz looked like it was on my camera lens, so hopefully I'm a little clearer now. I don't know. So, foundations, they're super important for buildings, but they're also super important for your life and for the successes in your life, the things that you want to do. And sometimes, foundations come in all different sizes and shapes and timing. All foundations can be a lot about timing, how much time you need to put in to a foundation. Now, I'm an attorney, everybody knows, happy lawyer. So that means I had to build a big educational foundation to get my law degree. So when I went to high school, I knew I was going to be an attorney. So from high school, I went to college, and my 4 years of college, I always knew in my mind was just going to be the foundation for my law school, because I had to have a bachelor's degree, 4 years of college, to go to law school. It's one of the requirements at the time. And so that was something that I just knew in my mind, no matter how long it took, 4 years, high school obviously, and then 4 years of college, that was something that was just a necessary thing that I was going to have to do for the foundation of law school and for my desire that I wanted to be an attorney. So that's a foundation that is something that is going to take a long time. Ernie, you're a teacher. I know you had to go through schooling to get your foundation to become a teacher, and you teach math. So there has to be a lot of knowledge with regard to that subject, to be a math teacher. And I don't know how much new math came out. They always talk about the new math. I only know old math and calculators, but new math is something that, you might have to educate yourself as you go along, even as an attorney. We have things called continuing legal education. So sometimes you have to continue to build on your foundation. Even though your foundation is there, sometimes as time goes by and as things change, you got to fortify your foundation with additional education. Or sometimes you need to fortify your foundation with other people that help you. Linda, love you. Ernie, love you. You guys are like my foundation. If you're having a rough day, if you need a little encouragement, if you even need somebody to, yuck it up a little to just kick back and have a few laughs, that can be part of your foundation. And the people that are in your life are going to help support your foundation when you're having difficult times. So you don't have to build a foundation by yourself. You can have other people help you to build a foundation. And there's the opposite of that is true as well. You can't build a foundation in a negative environment. You can't build a foundation with people that are, tearing you down. People that are saying, why are you bothering to go to college? You're never going to finish law school, or you're never going to be able to pass the bar, or whatever. Anybody that has negative comments about, your attempts to build your foundation, you got to get those people out of your life. You got to, they're chipping away at your foundation that you're trying to build. So get those people out of the way. Everybody knows I like to look up quotes. Oh, here you go. Of course, this quote didn't make it onto my printer, but it's on my computer now, and it says something like, "A strong person builds a foundation out of the bricks that people are throwing at him." So that's like what I'm talking about. When people are giving you negative energy, you take those bricks that people are throwing and use it to build your foundation. I know for me, the greatest thing you can say to me is that I can't do something. "Oh, Diana, you'll never be able to do that." Like I planned the trip to Australia in like 5 weeks. What do you mean you can't plan a trip to Australia in 5 weeks? That was easy. That was an easy thing because I was... for me, no problem. So anybody that said I couldn't do it, that's all the more I say, really? Yeah, just watch me. So I'm a big, my foundation is constantly fortified by people who are telling me I can't do stuff, because then I just want to say, okay, sure, I'll show you. I'll show you just what I can do. And there was another quote that I found online, and it was that a foundation of a house is very often below the surface. Well, it's always below the surface. Sometimes around here you can see the foundations because they're above surface. But sometimes your foundation is going to be below the surface where nobody can see it. Not even you. You might not be able to see your foundations. So, just know that they're there. They're underneath all of the attempts that you're trying to make to become successful. And so, if you can't see your foundation, you just have to kind of feel it. You just have to know in your head that you've built a strong foundation, however much time it takes. The foundation actually is almost secondary to the desire. The desire and the goal that you have in your mind, like my desire to be an attorney, that wasn't a foundation. The desire to be an attorney isn't the foundation, but it's what starts the foundation. It's what gives you the motivation and the impetus and the desire to build towards your goal. And you have to, your first few steps are going to be your foundation. So your desire to do something, my desire to go to Australia and swim the Great Barrier Reef that I've had forever in my mind. That was always a desire that was there, and it wasn't even, there was no foundation being built until I focused on it. And when I started focusing on it, then I took all those building blocks that I needed to build that foundation. And just like education for 4 years of college, or even law school education before you take the bar exam, I had to educate myself about the things that I needed to know about going to Australia and stuff like that. Right now, I'm moving on to my next crazy desire of my life, which is to see the aurora borealis. So that's my next big thing, and I don't care if I plan it in a month, but I will do whatever research that I need to do to build the foundation to create an amazing event that, is something that I really want to succeed at, as a goal. Hey, a goal to go to the aurora borealis. It's a good goal, so you might want to enjoy that. But sometimes our goals might not be so enjoyable. Sometimes you have to set a goal to get your laundry done, or you have to set a goal to clean the house, or clean out the closet, or do things that are things that are disorganized in your life, things that we don't want to do. And sometimes the foundation that you need for those more difficult things is just an idea in your head. Just seeing the vision of your desk cleared off, or the vision of, your house cleaned, or the vision of all the laundry done. You have to see that vision in your mind, and that might be enough to be a foundation. I mean, foundations in buildings are something we can see, but foundations in your life aren't always something you can see. Sometimes it's just ideas that you have in your head about your success and what you want to do. Another one of the quotes that I got offline today about foundations is, the loftier the building, the deeper the foundation must be laid. So, an idea, a foundation that I needed to build to go to law school took a long time. It was, 7 years of education before I could take the bar exam, and studying for the bar exam. So my desire, my loftier, way up here, my loftier idea and goal and success that I wanted to reach had to have a deeper foundation. And it's like anything. They say that as a tree, as tall as a tree is, sometimes that's as deep as the roots might be. So when you're building for something big, you have to have a really solid foundation. You have to have a solid foundation that goes deep. So those are like big goals that you want to take on. Even something like buying a house. My brother's buying a house now, so he's trying to build a foundation of getting all the pieces in place, getting the homeowners insurance in place, getting the down payment in place, getting the title search done, getting the survey, getting the blah blah blah, inspection of the house. All of these things are going to be the foundation just to buy the house. And then he's not going to need that foundation. As long as that solid foundation's got, the title search is good and all of that's right, then he'll be able to buy that house. And then that goal will be attained. And then he won't have to worry about that foundation anymore. But if, let's say, God forbid, somebody is buying a house and they don't do a title search, and then they go ahead, they're rushing through their foundation, they buy the house because they just want to get done with it, get done with the closing, and then they find out later on that maybe there's an easement on the property that they didn't know, or a tax lien or something like that, and now their foundation that was not solid, that was cracked because the proper attention wasn't paid to what needed to be done to solidify the foundation in that case. I think everybody knows that Bruce Lee, one of my favorite guys, who's got tons of great inspirations. And he said something great, and that was, do not fear the man that has practiced 10,000 kicks. Fear the man that has practiced one kick 10,000 times. So it's that one kick. There's a spot right here that you can get hit on. That'll knock you out. That one kick that somebody has practiced their whole life, that's built a foundation by practicing that whole thing, is going to be the person that's going to be more successful than somebody that's kicking all over the place, trying 10,000 different things to get to one goal, but doing the same thing over and over 10,000 times, that's the person that's going to have the solid foundation. And sometimes you only need one kick. Maybe that's all you need. One kick and you're in. One goal, one idea that you're going to practice over and over and be and successful at it, so that you can meet your goal and be, have the strongest foundation for that one thing that you want to do. So, I'm talking about now foundations that are for big goals, but, there are also foundations that you need that are for, I'll just say, short-term goals. Short-term goals, like in the morning. I've come to realize that in order for me to have a good day, I have to build a good foundation every morning. And, foundation sounds like something that you build once and it's rock solid for life. You hope that that's what's going to happen. You hope that that's what's going to happen for your house, that you build one foundation, it's good forever. But sometimes you have to build foundations over and over again just to meet a smaller goal. So I realized that I have to literally build a foundation every morning to meet my goal to have a great day, or to have my day be easier or successful or even completed. So when I'm building my foundations every morning, that would include, getting up on time instead of hitting the snooze button, 5 or 6 times and wasting 45 minutes extra in bed. Hit that, I'll hit it once. I will hit the snooze button once because I don't like jumping out of bed. I need 10 minutes. And then get up and then do meditation. I like to do meditation in the morning. That is a huge building block of my morning foundation. And then, of course, coffee. I got to have coffee in the morning. If I don't, the foundation is cracked. My daily foundation will be cracked if I don't have coffee in the morning. So, and I now really enjoy coffee. I have a French press where you grind coffee, and it's it's a different way of not boiled. It's just really good. So I really enjoy my coffee. It's part of my morning ritual. And that's something about, Bruce Lee saying practice that one kick 10,000 times. If you have a morning ritual that you're following through every day, it's easier. It's easier to build that morning foundation if you stick to it. Wake up at 6:30, meditate for a half an hour till 7 o'clock, do some, stretches or exercises, or walk on the beach. It's pretty cold in the morning. I'm going to have to dig out my snow clothes, my snow bib, so that I can get out there, and, my ski clothes, so I can get out there in the beach, because it's pretty cold. It's been cold here. But I'll have it, once it gets out, it's going to be hanging on the back of my door, right by the front door. So that's a building block towards my getting out every morning to take a walk, get some fresh air. And the most important thing about my foundation in the morning is to make sure I leave the house early, so that while I'm driving to work, if there's traffic, because there always is, that I'm not frustrated, that I'm not honking on the horn, that I'm not stressing out and looking at my clock and saying I'm going to be late and I got to get to work. That's a bad foundation. That's a cracked foundation. If you're under stress trying to get to work on time, that's a bad foundation for your day, because sometimes you can't get over that, and sometimes you can. Sometimes you make it in time. It's like, oof, thank God, I made it in time. I didn't have to run any red lights to get here, and I'm okay. But or easy parking or anything. But don't leave it up to that. Don't leave it up to that. Hopefully the foundation's going to be solid, because you're not going to hit any red lights. Make sure that you leave on time in the morning, so that your foundation stays strong and you're not stressed out. That is going to build on your more successful day. So morning foundations, very important. The other thing are nighttime foundations. It's been occurring to me that in order to have a good morning foundation, you really kind of want to think about your night foundation right before you go to bed. What you do before your rituals before you go to bed. Don't watch TV before you go to bed. Don't watch the news, because that is going to leave negative seeds in your brain that you're going to sleep on, and it's definitely not a good foundation for sleeping. They say that you should get away from any computers because it's got blue light. Blue light apparently keeps you awake. It doesn't look blue to me, but they say it's blue light. TV, computers, get away from that stuff 15 minutes before you go to bed because it calms down your brain. If you can do a meditation before you go to sleep, or even just lay in bed and think about all the great things that happened in the day. I've just been having a great day. I have off tomorrow. I always feel good when I have off on Monday because I can relax. I can watch Sunday Night Football and sleep a little later tomorrow because I don't have to get up. But think about the things that you did in the day that were great, or think about the things that you love, or pet your dog, or pet your cat, or something else that might release a little tension that you had during the day before you go to sleep. So the nighttime foundation before you go to sleep is important. I've also heard, they say it's better to take a shower before you go to bed at night because the hot water actually relaxes your body and relaxes your mind and puts you in more of a sleepy state than when we wake up in the morning. It's like, oh, I'm going to take a shower and wake up. But apparently they say it's better to take a shower at night because that's going to help you go to sleep. And then you'll wake up clean. So I guess it's one less thing you do in the morning. So if that's something that you would do at night, go for it. So pay attention to your nighttime foundation because that's also going to help your morning foundation. And all of these things go through a recurring. These are the things that you're going to practice doing all the time, rituals. We have other foundations that we build in our lives, health, part of our health foundations to have a healthy life. The foundation of what you're eating is what you're buying in the grocery store. I've always said whatever you take out of the refrigerator to eat is what you've put in the refrigerator to eat. So don't buy junk food. Don't buy don't buy fried food. Don't buy pre-made stuff. When you're shopping, shop around the outside of the store. That's where all the fresh foods are. So that's how you're going to start building your foundation for healthier eating, is by making sure that you're getting the right stuff to put in your refrigerator so you can eat it later. So that's a foundation for eating. Our foundation for exercise, even just getting up and walking up the block, or just even stretching. I try to do planking. Now, planking is the funniest thing because you don't do anything. You just hold still for planking. And you think like, well, how hard can it be? I just got to hold still. Can't be too strenuous. And in fact, it can be pretty strenuous, but it's a challenge. But it's something that is good for your health. These are the building blocks of the foundation that are positive for your health. And then we have in our world the building blocks that are going to damage your health foundation, which are like smoking cigarettes. This is like pouring acid onto concrete. I assume acid affects concrete like it would. So smoking cigarettes is like, it's just like killing your foundation. Drinking alcohol, also not a great thing for your foundation because it just damages the foundation that you're trying to build. So those are the kind of things that you want to pay attention to. Make sure that you're not, while you're building your foundation, also damaging your foundation. Getting enough sleep. I try to go to bed at 10 o'clock at night. People are like, oh, 10 o'clock at night, but my favorite show is on at 10 o'clock at night. Your favorite show at 10 o'clock at night is probably about, people shooting each other and espionage and undercover and all subversion and spies. And, it's not really a good foundation to sleep on. So if you have to watch that show, fine. DVR it and watch it some other time during the day. You'll be able to skip through commercials, which have a negative foundation also. But try and go to sleep earlier. Get enough sleep. Getting enough sleep is very important to foundation stuff. People want to, try and get a good foundation on only 4 or 5 hours sleep. You can't do that. You have to make sure that you have enough sleep. There was a guy online that listed a bunch of stuff. Write down your goals on paper. When you write down your goals on paper and you see them, that is a good foundational start to growing and building on top of your foundation. Or even write a flow chart that will tell you what the next step is. You can build a foundation doing that. And also reading your goals over and over. It gets that ritual in your head, and it builds your mental foundation to what you want to do, and it will necessarily lead you to the next step of what you need to do to get to your foundation. This guy's suggestion is also take one day off a week and work hard 6 days of the week and take one day off. I like that idea. I like to take a day off to just do nothing. You know, sometimes I feel guilty about it. Sometimes I don't. Today was my football day. My Sunday days are football. So, you don't have to, I like the idea of working hard 6 days a week. I do that and then taking one day off to relax. And I know The Rock, one of my favorite guys, I was watching him last night on Jumanji. I think he's great. His diet is very strict 6 days a week, and then one day a week he eats whatever he wants. So he has a good, look, the guy's got a good foundation. If he's eating what he wants one day a week, you can't blame him because he's amazing looking. And so all of his other rituals and foundations that he uses for his physical health and his body are obviously working. So the one day off works for him. I think I'm going to try that one day off thing too. So with all of this foundational stuff, there's a lot of times in our lives that we don't have a good foundation and we can't help it. Sometimes people have difficult upbringing. And, you know, their parents yelled at them or were negative to them or critical, that type of thing. The only thing I always suggest to people who have had difficulty with their childhood upbringing and foundations that were not solid there is to think about what were your parents' foundations. Because usually somebody who's not helping you build a strong foundation, it's because they did not have a strong foundation themselves. And very frequently I'll say, well, you know, what was the relationship that your mother had with her mother? Oh, my grandmother, she yelled all the time, and she was always saying that my mother wasn't good enough and she never didn't succeed at this and didn't succeed at that. So realize that, and that's why her own mother was telling her that she wasn't never going to be successful or not a good mother or something like that, because sometimes the foundation that they're coming from is damaged and they don't know how to help you build a good foundation. So if you have to sometimes rebuild your own foundation as you go through life, or just say, okay, I'm not going to let that person's cracked foundation influence me. I'm going to try and, you know, carry on and solidify my foundation with whatever I need to do. Reading books on self-development and stuff like that. Listening to video. I love listening to Wayne Dyer in the morning. He's got a very calm voice, and he always, I don't know, always makes me feel great. I have him in my car now, in my CD player. I have Wayne Dyer, and I listen to it every morning. Les Brown always helps me build my foundation to feel stronger about being a speaker and doing the things that I want to do to help people, because I have greatness inside me, and it needs to come out. But, you know, I was thinking about what happens if people don't have a great foundation. Does that mean they're doomed? No, it doesn't mean you're doomed. One of the most well-known things in the world that's still famous and still, you know, visited by millions of people, that is a bad foundation, is the Leaning Tower of Pisa. The Leaning Tower of Pisa, I looked it up because I thought, you know, well, that has a bad foundation, obviously, because it's leaning, but it's still standing. I think they started building it, I read it and I didn't write it down, 1117, some really long time ago. They built it the first 2 stories before they realized that the foundation itself was okay, but what they built it on was soft on one side and stronger on the other side. So the side that was sandy, the sandy side, started sinking on that side. And they built 2 stories, and they realized that it was shifting in the foundation, and they stopped building. And then apparently some wars went on, and they didn't go back to it for a few years. So the thing sat there with an uneven foundation, and then when they went back to it and they started building more, they saw that it was listing a little bit, and they did stuff like they wrapped the second story to solidify it. I mean, it was really kind of an interesting history about the Leaning Tower of Pisa. And they say now that it has stopped shifting, that it's shifted like a degree. You know, it's literally off by 1 degree way down here, but by the time you get up there, it's all really pretty far leaning. But there's been architects and engineers that have looked at it now, and what they said was that had they continued to build it, had they not stopped on the second floor and put a halt to it and decided to, stop, and then all kinds of things distracted them, if they had kept building straight up, that building would have fallen over. But because they stopped at the second floor and let it sit for a while, it actually maintained that off-balance foundation, and then when they went back hundreds of years later to continue building, they were able to keep building it because there was that delay. So the point I'm trying to make is, even if you think like, oh God, I have a bad foundation, I'm never going to be able to get over it. My parents were, alcoholics, or whatever, whatever your thing in your mind, that you were an alcoholic, or you had a drug problem, or you smoked cigarettes, or you didn't get an education, whatever you think now is your bad foundation, I just want you to think that the Leaning Tower of Pisa has a bad foundation, and it's one of the most famous things in the world that's still standing. So would the Leaning Tower of Pisa have been better if it had a perfect foundation and stood straight up? Yes, it would have been a better building, but we wouldn't even know about it. We wouldn't even be talking about it. It would just be called the Tower of Pisa, and nobody would know it. Nobody would go visit it. So if you have a Leaning Tower of Pisa foundation, don't feel bad about that, because even if you can build on that, you could still be famous. People will still flock to see you. Almost, how many years? 900 years later. So I would love to go see the Leaning Tower of Pisa and, do one of those pictures where it looks like I'm holding it up, Those fake hold up the Leaning Tower of Pisa shots. That's a good foundational picture. So that's what I have to tell you. Build your foundations daily. Don't, if you have to. For daily goals, build foundations daily. For long-term goals, take your time and build your foundation as it goes along. Build it stronger and layer by layer. Don't rush your foundation for your long-term goals, because they might be cracked, or they might have, cheap cement. You don't want to build with cheap cement that's got too many bubbles in it, because then that's gonna crack. So long-term goals with deep foundations that go into the ground, short-term goals, daily goals with rituals that you follow every day, and to just set up every day. And if you don't do your foundation right one day, or if your long-term foundation gets a crack in it, go ahead and fix it. Tear down a level and start over, on that level. If you got to scrap the whole foundation and go someplace else. Remember to build your foundation in a place that's strong. Leaning Tower of Pisa built the foundation in one side that was sandy. If you have people that are throwing bricks at you and are negative about your foundation that you're trying to build, take the negativity bricks and use them to build your foundation. Overcome what people say. Everybody that's going to tell you you can't do something, it's because they believe they can't do it. Nobody is going to tell you, I'm never going to tell anybody you can't become an attorney, because I know it's possible. Anybody could become an attorney right now. Anybody could become an attorney if they wanted to. It's the people that are unable to get their own stuff done, their own goals, that are going to be critical about you saying, that I want to do something. And they're saying, no, you can't do it. And, be that person that says, oh, really? You think I can't do it? Well, watch me. Now I'm going to show you that I can do it. Don't listen to other people. Build your own foundation, even if you have to do it in secret. Even if you don't tell people what your goals are, what your dreams are, what you're building a foundation for. They don't always have to know. People don't have to know what your foundation is about. It's better off sometimes you don't talk about your foundation. And then you won't have to worry about people trying to chip away at it. So that's it. That's it for tonight. Build your foundations daily. Try routines. And in the end, love yourself. That's the most important foundation that you have, is the belief in yourself that you can do something. If you don't believe that you can do something, then that's a cracked foundation starting out. So the ideas in your head will start the strongest foundations. And if you believe you can do something, that's the strongest foundation. If you don't think you can do it, you don't think it's going to come out good, that's a cracked foundation to start with. So move away from those ideas. Either change your mind about it or go on to something else. I don't think I can be a center for the Knicks. I think I'm too short. So I'm not going to start taking basketball lessons because that's going to be a foundation. Because in my mind, I won't be able to do it. I won't be able to do it, So realize that your ideas and your goals that are in your brain first are where the good foundations are going to show up, and you'll know which ones to start building on, and you'll know which ones to discard, because we can't do everything in life. I mean, it's just not enough time. There's not enough time to read all the books that I want to read. So just reading alone, there's not enough time for. So if you want to be setting goals and attaining goals, sometimes you have to pick and choose which goals are the more important ones and which goals are more important to you, not to somebody else. You can't really build your foundation on somebody else's goals. You can only, that's a cracked foundation right there as well. So build your own goals, long-term, short-term, and just keep at it. And you will eventually find success. So that is all I have to say this week. I will see you next week. Is not a holiday week. It's just a regular normal week. So there should be no issues. No tissues. I will see you next week. Same time, same channel. And until then, I love you all. And love is all you need. Thank you. Bye. My mother used to do that. There's a foundation. My mother. Okay. Bye, guys. See you soon. Have a great week. And happy Veterans Day. Say hi to veteran for you and me. Thank them. Bye.